Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to the channel. I'm Cheryl, and this is True Crime and Other Stuff. Thanks for being here. Today, I just wanted to share this video that Christina Randall had an interview with Nicolea Miu's brother. So far, we haven't really heard from any of his family, and she got lucky. And this is Christina Randall, and I hope she don't strike me. Okay.
Did not realize what exactly happened until they watched the trial. I literally got emails from people saying that we were fed a totally different narrative for 20 months. And so I was wondering what his family thought, or if they even supported him, or if they were there for him, because we know that he got a divorce 3 weeks before the trial. And I was also curious, what's next for Nikolai? Is there a chance of an appeal? What's going to happen? And Nikolai's twin brother, Mihai Miu, sat down with me and my husband, along with him and his wife, and they answered every single question that I had. We talked for quite a while. I was very grateful. I'm going to share a lot of that here with you guys today. So, if any of y'all were left with a lot of questions, wanting to know more things, stay to the end of this video. You're going to hear a lot today. And then I will give you guys my opinion after what I've heard at the end of this video.
So it all started, go back to Adam and Eve. Well, we were born in 1969 in communist Romania. It was very hardcore at the time. A lot of people were being sent to concentration camps and work camps, much like North Korea, China. People were being executed left and right for political reasons. It was a nasty time during the Ceausescu regime. We survived that somehow and managed to escape Romania through the help of the American government. So we came through, it was Reagan, President Reagan at the time. They sent over Alexander Haig to create a list, much like a Schindler's List. And we got lucky and we made the list. We went through many different persecutions. My parents lost their jobs since everything was government owned and operated. Nick and I were on house arrest for about a year. We were considered traitors. And to go to school, you had to be sworn in as a young communist. And so, because my parents wanted to leave the country, we're in that uh, flight pattern, getting ready to leave. We were kicked out of school as well. So Nick and I were not allowed to leave our house for a year. My parents were allowed to leave the house via appointments um, that they had at the American embassy, and they still managed to persecute them. My dad was stripped of his clothes. It was a really cold fall, and so he was sent home naked on the bus. Um, he was brought home and dumped in front of our house, foaming at the mouth. I don't know where he went, to what event or what meeting, and they poisoned him. So, and somehow he survived that too. Nick and I decided we wanted to be boys, and we left the house one day and tried to go see a movie, and our tail cut up to us, the KGB that was watching us in our house. And and I don't know why, they let us get all the way to downtown Bucharest. And when we had the tickets in our fat little hands, they surrounded us and beat the crap out of us. Up until that point, there were various other things. We had issues with the communists, the KGB. They came and beat up on my dad. Nick and I tried to intervene, and I ended up with broken ribs as a result. The only one that did not get hurt was my mom. But dad was darn near put in a coma. I ended up with broken ribs, like I said, and Nick was black and blue as well. So
Wow, he probably did have PTSD. There's probably flashbacks and stuff from this.
Um, yeah, they broke the windows, all the windows to a house. It was a rock and roll type of day that day, and well, we came out of it alive. So it was a good thing that we came here when we did. We got here, we were sponsored, and our sponsors were from Golden Valley, Minnesota, and they kind of set us up with housing, going back to school, and such. And then Nick and I went off to college after graduating from high school. Nick went off to, South Dakota State Brookings in engineering. I went into law enforcement at Mankato State, and then off to police academy and so on and so forth. While I was waiting for a job, I got a job with the Department of Corrections. No, while I was waiting for a law enforcement job, like police job, I got a job with the Department of Corrections, and I took it. And a year into it, it's like, well, the pay is not too bad. Bennies are really good, so I stayed. I had come down with PTSD, so I decided to retire early. So Nick went off to college there after college. Nick came back to Minnesota. He married for the first time, a relationship that didn't last very long. And then after that, he remarried. He married a Romanian gal. He went to Romania and brought her here that my dad set up, with whom he had the only child that they have. But yeah, Nick was a good brother, good friend. Awesome to come over and do stuff with him. He always had something on the grill. Um, he helped his neighbors a lot. He was always up on top of a roof of somebody's neighbor, cleaning and even after surgery, he had that cut from belly button to. He could not stand still. He wanted to go help people. So I had a lot of pictures of him up on top of roofs cleaning gutters. Nick was a busybody, very, very liked at work, friends with everybody, easy to get along with. Yeah, just I mean, we're brothers, we're twins, but he was totally opposite of me. I didn't like going out because I've worked with people for so many years. I've had enough. And I was kind of street smart. Nick was not, for obvious reasons. We know now if he had had enough street smartness, I don't know if he would have gotten in so much trouble. But he was never trained in that. And I feel bad because Nick came with absolutely nothing other than brains, and willingness to talk to people and be approachable and too gullible in many ways because he never put up a guard. He never. Once we left Romania, years passed. Nick had a lot of friends, a lot of friends. He was surrounded by friends. He liked to have a good time like everybody else, boating, fishing, hunting. You don't take shortcuts when you buy something. You get what you pay for. So Nick had good stuff up until 2 years ago, and now he don't have any good stuff. Everything he ever had is gone. For financial reasons, his wife divorced him. They sold a really nice house, um, and the money they got from there, I think most of it went to his attorneys. But you can always make up for what you lose financially or things. You make up for it, but your freedom, that's a totally different kind of game.
It sounds like they've been through so much. I just wish that Nikolai would have had more people to speak on his behalf, like his brother. He could have told some of the story, maybe even.
Nothing. You need something or complaints about something that's of medical matter, they say just drink tap water. They'll take care of it. And he drinks tap water, thinking that will take care of it. They took his glasses, so they had two deputies come out to his house to collect some of his personal items. By the time they got back to Hudson, Wisconsin, they had half the stuff. I told him, I said, you have to check your, personal items to see what you have in there. Glasses are missing. They never got his glasses, even though his wife said, yeah, he sent them with his reading glasses. So he couldn't even read what he was looking at. And of course, he's reliving this from what we lived through almost, 16 years of our life in socialist Romania. It's all coming back tenfold for him. They'll probably eat him alive. I know they called him a child molester and stuff on the river. He's not. I could tell you that he is not. And I have 3 girls in my house. If I had seen anything like that, that would have been addressed. There's nothing like that. He goes to any body of water. He brings his scuba goggles, and people lose knives there because they bring him to cut apart these floats and whatnot. So, but for them to initially say, well, who would bring a knife on a float when you're floating down the river, well, a lot of people do.
Me, I was actually, they wanted to put him on for a character witness. The judge wouldn't allow it.
Yeah.
So every time that they kept doing these little sidebars, they wanted more character witnesses. And the judge kept saying, no, he's got enough character. We've seen enough of his friends. Well, no, we haven't seen enough because we haven't heard about Nick's life previous to the United States. Everybody now knows that he came from Romania.
That's so
Actually, he
true.
just
They
had a
should have had
surgery
him
where he
on
shot
there.
himself back on February 21st and ended up having 3 stents put in. Luckily he didn't have to have the quadruple, but it was bad. And so we actually met with Nick's attorneys then the following Monday. So it wasn't even a month later, so we're bringing, that's the first time that I had ever seen the video. We talked with Aaron. We spent, well, my gosh, maybe a couple hours with Aaron, kind of going over, just the whole trial of itself. And even then, a year and a half to almost 2 years later, that was the first time I had seen the video. All of us have been fed this thing. I mean, we knew he didn't come out of the woods and he didn't start stabbing people. He didn't do this, but I had no clue about the torment that he was being put through. I mean, yeah, we knew that these kids were calling him names and doing all this stuff, but when you actually physically watch the video and hear, you had 6 boys that kept saying, you pedophile, you raper, you looking for little girls. That was all a lie. We all know it was a lie. Well, that just put a totally different spin on the whole thing. They were all at this point convinced that Nick was there being some gross, disgusting person looking for girls, even though there's no little girls in the area, but because when you got the alcohol going, you got all the stuff going, your reasoning, your sense of normalcy is gone, right? So we were there for the last 3 days. So we were there the day before Nick did his testifying, and then the day of, and when they actually rested, and then the verdict day. So when they read it, and I just sat there, and I couldn't, it took me, actually, it didn't even take me 2 days to reason, because I still can't reason with what I witnessed and what I heard. Is it tragic? Absolutely. It's so freaking tragic any way you look at it. Isaac died. You had people that were seriously injured that are going to, like you said, are going to have lifetime medical issues coming from this stuff. The experiences, the trauma that they experience, whether it's all those people on the river that witnessed, experienced it, even the ones that responded, Nick and his experiences and everything that he did, the whole situation is a traumatic experience. But the fact is that the outcome of this was not, it doesn't go hand in hand. We haven't even heard that much yet what's coming off from Aaron and Corey. I think that Aaron and Corey are still like, where do we go from here? Do we have the opportunity to appeal? Some lawyers say no, you don't get an opportunity on defense case to appeal that verdict.
Nobody cared that he has to go upriver, not downriver. He disagreed with them, and look at where he's at. So I'm not saying these guys are karate experts or anything, but there are enough of them. They put him down on his ass. They darn near knocked him out. Then he's trying to get back up, and then they're pushing him back down. In his mind, he's thinking, holy shit, if I don't act now, no one is going to act on my behalf. They're going to drown me. You know, a lot of things can happen right now. My head hurts. I'm dizzy, whatever, you know. So he did what many men would have done, or women, or anybody in that you have to fight for your life. At that point, you don't have a choice.
They kept saying is that he had an opportunity to leave. He had an opportunity to leave. He was walking away, and what did they do? They walked after him. You can see it in the video. You can see that the tubes and everything, they're walking towards him. When he goes over to Maddie, what happens? They move the tubes and they're walking to him. They're surrounding him. I mean, literally, their fingers are literally at his back, in his faces. They're like, you know, pointing. And it was like, are you kidding me? They kept chasing him. And it was like, for the love of God, no, he didn't have a way to go. Every time he tried to go somewhere, they were right there in his face, behind him, yelling and screaming.
He was trying to say that when he said he was looking for a cell phone, the boys either found the phone or they used one of their own phones to hold it up and say, are you looking for this? You know, and that's why he came running towards the kids, thinking, oh, they found my phone. They found what I was looking for, and I'm going to get it back. And Nick wasn't...
See, I knew there was a reason for that.
Street smart enough to realize, I think this is going to be a setup, you know, and just simply try to get out of there as fast as he could. He just assumed, oh, drunk kids. I think I could reason with them. I can talk to anyone. You know, I'm a very friendly individual. I can bring upon any type of conversation. I could talk to these drunk kids. I don't know. You have certain breadcrumbs that you have to pick up on, and Nick just, I think that day he failed to detect trouble when trouble was right there in front of him, and obviously that's cost him.
And I thought he did a really good job on explaining when he was on the stand.
In his own way.
In his own way, the best that he could in English, because it's true. If anybody has done any studying for trauma and doing all this stuff, when he explained that was like time was no longer real.
It was not real. Everything was not real. Time wasn't following the same rules.
When you
slow, very slow.
When you said you didn't have a memory of some of the details, but you had a memory of the feelings, can you explain, how is that?
So feelings are brought on by what's happening, at least with me. If you get hit in the head, that's a feeling of hurt. If you fall back and you hit your head, you fall back on river rock and you get hurt, you feel pain. When you know you can't get away and you feel like you're drowning and there are people on top of you pounding you and holding you in the water, that's a timestamp in a filing cabinet that says this is what I suffered.
You exactly. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, it's something I would love to erase from my memory, but unfortunately, there are lots of those feelings, very strong feelings I can't erase.
It was on a totally different. I was like, I'm sitting here the whole time going, good job, Nick. You were literally explaining what happens when someone goes through, because I've been through it myself when things have happened, and it's like time is not what you think it is. It's a warped sense of reality. you know, it slows down. That it doesn't mean it slowed down. Like the, you know, Eric tried to sit there and put out, Eric Anderson, you know, the attorney tried to put out going, well, if times, you know, slowed down, then you should have. But no, it didn't literally slow down. But in your mind, when you're going through this traumatic event, it warped to such a weird sensation that it wasn't, you were on a different plane. I'm thinking, holy crap, Nick, you explained it exactly. If any survivor of any kind of traumatic experience, that was the best explanation I could have ever explained. Because I think if you ever go back and look at the video, when he said, well, they took my, you know, they took the snorkel gear from him, his kit. Honestly, if you go and you look at it again, it looks like it was accidentally kicked from him as they were like getting off the tubes, that it was like knocked off of his, out of his mouth. It's like, so in his mind, his thinking, they took it, they took it away from me. But no, it didn't. But you want to know what? I think because of all the action that's happening, it's not like he's got a huge grip on it, right? He's just holding on to it as he's trying to brace himself. It gets lost, and now he's looking for it. You can watch that video and sit there and say, yeah, I watched the video, and I see now that that's not what happened. I see now this is what it is. Their perceptions of everything that happened is so warped because they haven't been able to process the crazy that they all just experienced, because they all experienced crazy that day on the river.
No,
Well, I don't think so, because I think because St. Croix County itself is actually a very large county. Like the square footage of the county itself is big. So I doubt it did, but I honestly I don't think it ever did, to be
no.
perfectly honest. I was shocked at that myself, because when they tried to sit there and get the sleeping juror, which there was, because our daughter even mentioned
She
when
pointed it out to us.
when
Yeah.
we left on Wednesday, she's like, Mom, do you see that juror that was sleeping? I'm like, yeah, I kind of caught one that I thought was dozing. Can we do anything about it? No, we can't put it 2 cents worth into it. No, I'm still kind of wondering if she was 90 or not. I don't know who was 90. She was quite older looking, but I would not have.
I would say in
I-
her 70s.
I think all of them, if there was one of them who was actually 90 there, I want to know what you take, because you all were really good looking 90-year-olds if that was the case, you know, to be truthfully honest.
Another thing too, I'd like to add that I know kind of goes back to immediately after the incident. We were just learning about the incident. He woke me up in the middle of the night. She says, and I looked in her face and I thought, oh my God, something happened. And the moment she started talking about Nick, she started crying. Of course, she gives me the bad news. The initial news that came out through the media is that Nick had lost his mind. He came out of the woods, totally camel, you know, and started stabbing people left and right, killing people. So, of course, I didn't know what to believe. I mean, my brother all of a sudden became Rambo. What snapped?
Mhm.
So I'm at a loss for words. I'm emotionally distraught. I'm crying. I thought for sure I was going to have a heart attack because I was getting chest pains. Um, so, and it was a few hours or a couple of 3 days later, um, everything exploded. The media exploded. All the chitter chatter on the internet exploded with all these made up stories. Our local sheriff, Isanti sheriff, um, thought from what he had gathered and what he had heard that our lives were in jeopardy. They put out there that they wanted to kill our family. They wanted to kill our kids in school. They wanted to rape us. They wanted to destroy us. They wanted to burn down our house. So their sheriff, you know, wanted to make sure that we're okay. He had ordered extra patrols on our street. And for a little while, he put the deputy out there who was parked at the end of our driveway, watching our house and watching who was coming, who was going, and stuff. There are people driving. I mean, we had traffic up and down this road like there's no one's business. Our mailbox was attacked
Multiple times, yeah.
multiple times. I couldn't sleep for the first 3 4 months. You know, we lived in fear. You know, Patty and I and my kids didn't want to go to school. Eventually, they ended up having to go to school. Their teachers were given a heads up about what's going on. They're all aware. Our whole entire community was well aware. Our church was well aware. There's a lot of people who are looking after our kids. The what ifs,
Yeah.
you know, is this over? Are they happy? Are they happy with their outcome? Are they going to leave us alone, or what do they want? I mean, how much further is this going to carry on? Nick is scared to death too. Nick helped a bunch of kids in jail get their GEDs. Why?
Oh.
Well, Nick helped them through math and whatever else they needed to learn for study for their GED, and they passed. I think one kid passed with 98%. He's teaching kids and others how to play chess. Nick is a chess player. I'm a chess player. He played against a whole entire pod of men in there, and won. But Nick is teaching him. Nick is never, like I said,
But
he
you're not
never
scared.
rests. And I know he is struggling. I know he's struggling every day. I talk to him. I text him. We sometimes do what is this?
FaceTime.
FaceTime. But I don't know. And if he thinks anywhere close to what I'm thinking right now, he's scared shitless to even be in there. Sandy hasn't really said a whole lot. I know that she said she really still loves him. She said that publicly, but she also went through her thing too. They did
Yeah.
the same thing to her at her house, you know, in the neighborhood where she lived. She was not safe either for that initial time. Now that she doesn't live there anymore, she lives somewhere else, and I think she's struggling. I know she's struggling. So when we were kids, uh, in order to survive, we had to lie to everybody, our neighbors, who we were, and we weren't members of the Communist Party. My parents weren't. We had to keep lying to everybody. We had to keep lying for all these years. My parents taught us to lie to the authorities so that we don't. It gives us a chance to escape a certain situation. However, you know, we came here. We didn't have to do that anymore. Um, you know, people are nicer. You can trust people. You can go to church. You can go to school without having to, you know, to try to cover your ass in a sense and sound ridiculous at doing so. But, you know, I think that's what it was, is a combination of that all those years. I think he reverted back to, holy shit, you know, if I let the authorities, remember back in Romania, we didn't trust the authorities. The stuff we used to watch, where they take people out of their homes, beat them, and if that wasn't bad enough, well, let's just shoot them in the back of their heads. And then if that's not bad enough, let's lay them there, lie dead, and then, well, kids, you know, usually they go up to a body, and we take whatever we can off a body. So we're desensitized. People getting pulled out of legs. People getting shot for stealing fruit out of a fruit tree. Of course, when they caught us at the movie theater, we said that you know, we we weren't who they said we were, but they knew exactly. They'd followed us from home. But we tried. That didn't get us anywhere, and we still got beaten and brought home. And so I don't know. I asked him, and he nodded his head. He says, I don't know why I did that, but I think we took a little bit after my dad. You know, he had to survive. He had to fight for his existence. He came from a different level of people back in Romania. My dad was an engineer. He was well educated. He was a professor. Um, my mom was an accountant, and she came from the countryside as well. But the rest of her family, none of them really made it past being farmers. So dad was like, you got to be like us. If anything, be educated, learn how to be a good mechanic, do something, go to school, stay out of trouble. Um, but it's hard because I know we took some of what we learned from my parents, try to apply it in real life. Didn't always work. Um, but we stayed alive during the 15, 16 years of my life in Romania, where many others perished. So somehow we did something right. We went to school, nobody knew they were even leaving the country until the day of. And how we managed to keep that a secret, well, obviously through lying and other things.
I'm very curious to know what July 31st brings.
It is good to see that people like yourselves out there have taken this to heart, and it bothered you enough to want to do your own investigation into it, and to look further and to actually learn the truth.
What was Nikolai really like? What was his personality?
Wow, that was really interesting, and I think Nikolai's brother is pretty cool. I wish he would have got on the stand and testified. That would have made so much difference, I think. Thanks for watching my videos, and have a good one.